Hello, family and friends. It is MG, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Reimagine You Lab podcast. And as usual, if you haven't already, make sure you get yourself a good glass of iced water, hot tea, coffee, or whatever it is that you like to drink, because this episode is going to get you ready. You're going to have something with you because we're going to go there tonight. We have an amazing guest in the lab. And so now, thank you to all of the amazing guests who have helped us build this amazing following. 13,000 listeners and subscribers on YouTube, 11,000 on Instagram. You guys, I'm telling you, I can't believe it. I'm so thankful to you. But if you have tuned in and you just so happened to catch the lab tonight and you hadn't subscribed, please hit the bell down below, because every Friday we release a new episode and I don't want you to miss it. I want to make sure that you can tune in because every guest is amazing. But tonight, if you heard me say it, say tonight. This is an amazing guy. I've got the No Hassle King in the lab. He's here. He's ready. He's fired up. And I already told him that we're going beyond the bio. So, Jim, this is the time. I'm kicking it over to you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good. All right, Jim, beyond the bio. Tell them who you are, where you're at, what you do, and how you do it.
All right, Michelle. My name's Jim Bramlett. I am a Midwesterner born in Missouri, and I live in Kansas City. I spent 42 years in the transportation and logistics space. I'm known for creating, I've started 7 companies in my career. I've formed new divisions, new products. I like to say I love to innovate. And after spending 42 years in transportation and logistics, 2 years ago, I became a chair for Vistage. And Vistage is the world's leading business leader peer group organization. So I facilitate and coach 2 groups here in Kansas City. I'm a 2-time author. I'm an aspiring speaker, and I'm an old geezer. But I can't retire. I love doing what I do. And if you can look over my shoulder, I'm a banjo player. And the one thing that my friends tell me, well, you're not the worst banjo player in the world, but you better hope they don't die. And so that'll tell you a little bit about me.
Jim, I love it. You know what? You are an innovator. Started 7 companies. Jim, tell us a little bit about, getting started, because when we talk about change and innovations and innovators, a lot of people get freaked out by change just in and of itself. Most people, just don't know what they'll do when the change starts coming down their street. But you're a change maker. You're one of those people that says, you know what, hey, it's time to do something new. Let's do something else. Is that natural for you, or is that something that you kind of learn to do?
No, it's very interesting, because one of the reasons I had a long career in transportation and logistics is every day is different. I often tell people, don't put me in a production line where it's the same thing over and over. I have to have a different environment, different challenges. And I was telling somebody today that when I first stepped on a freight dock, I would look at a pallet of shipment, go, holy cow, 2 days ago that was in New York, and 2 days from now it's going to be in California. And a lot of things have to change. A lot of information gets exchanged, and a lot of things happen to make that happen. And so every day is different. And I like to challenge the status quo. I love improvement. I love innovation. And that just excites me. That's what I love.
You've written a book, and you have, and I want to talk about that book today because there's just so much dynamite in there. As a matter of fact, let's just start there. Like, can we just go in? You're going to be the no hassle king. That's I love the name. Let's talk about Stop the Hassle. You have done logistics. You've done all that work. You just said it. You've got a freight shipment that starts in one place, it's going to end up somewhere else in a couple of days. When you think about companies and the work and stuff that they do, there's so much that goes on from the company to the buyer, right, to that customer. Tell people about Stop the Hassle and why that's so important when you're thinking about, just from the customer to the product or the service. Tell them what that Stop the Hassle is all about.
I will do that. I'll tell all 13,000 of you, whether you know it or not, you don't think about it, you're a buyer. We all buy something almost every day. Maybe a few of you are professional buyers, but Michelle and I buy things every day. And I believe we have 4 criteria by which we buyers make a decision on what we're going to buy and from whom we're going to buy. And the criteria is this. Number 1 is convenience. We're looking for products and services that save us time, save us effort, simplify, and make our lives easier. We don't buy things that make it harder, more complex, or take us more time. We are looking for a competitive price, but more importantly, we want pricing transparency. And what that means is we want to know what we're spending before we make that purchase. And that's why many of us don't like working with attorneys, because we know we're paying $200 an hour, but we don't know how many hours. We don't like the little hidden rules airlines call on us. And in my history in transportation, we had a lot of that. We also want a really good user experience. We want to be treated like we're the only customer that vendor or seller has. We want our questions answered, and we want professionalism. We just want to be treated special. And number 4 is trustworthiness. When we make a purchase, we have a certain perception of what we should be receiving. It's especially true if there's a brand promise by the seller. So, I use this example. If we're driving through McDonald's, we don't have a perception that, we're going to buy this, Michelin star rated meal, but we do expect it hot. We expect, the buns to be fresh. And oh, by the way, we want our fries to be included in the combo meal. I don't want to drive off and go, where's my fries? That's an expectation. So we want that trustworthiness that they're going to do that. And they back it up with guarantees, with warranties, free returns. We love testimonials. We want to know our peers have enjoyed that or what their perception is, etc. Now, all 4 of those, when a seller can deliver all 4, it doesn't give me very many excuses not to use them. When they don't fulfill on being convenient, priced competitively, transparently, giving me a great experience, and being trustworthy, that's a hassle. If I am buying something and it's higher priced and I've got to search around and find something lower price, that's a hassle. If they're costing me time and effort and not making my life simpler, that's a hassle. If I'm not treated properly and specially, that's a hassle. And if I can't trust them, so that's why I named the book Stop the Hassle. So if you are selling something, cater to what my needs are, what I value. That's what it's all about.
No, I love that, Jim. And gosh, you broke that down so good. You break that down so well. So if we're thinking about that, everything that you just said, what is the biggest mindset shift that business owners really need to make to move from frustration to exponential growth? When you're thinking about, because that's one of the things like that, those hassles really get in the way of that exponential growth, because that's one of the big things that you talk about in Stop the Hassle. And everybody wants to grow.
If you want to grow, and they don't like, a lot of people don't like to hear this, but it's not about you, the seller. It's all about we or them, the buyer.
Buyer.
And so you got to reach out and understand what it is those buyers are looking for. And I believe all too often companies sit there in a room full of mirrors and say, what should we be doing? No, you need to talk to your customers and probably, what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for those four things for sure. And when you can fulfill those, they're going to buy from you to meet their expectation. And one of the things, Michelle, I talk about a lot is a company's value proposition. Now, I grew up in transportation and logistics, and in transportation and logistics, way too frequently, they're using a feature proposition. Well, we have 100 trucks and we service Atlanta. No, I don't care. I care about I need deliveries on time, cost effectively. I need good customer service. I need it priced right. I don't want damages. That's what I value. So don't tell me about your 100 trucks. And I love to use this example. Back when FedEx started, they had their ad with a plane and a delivery vehicle. And it was when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. Okay. Well, hey, trustworthiness with absolutely positive overnight. Oh, that's time. It's saving me time. They could have said, well, we have lots of planes and we fly everywhere. But nobody cares. They care about themselves. Buyers are only mildly interested in what it is you do. They're totally interested in what their needs are, solving their problem. And so you, the seller, need to cater to those. And our needs are convenience, price, user experience, and trust. That's what we need. That's what makes our buying decision.
Yeah, no, that's good. That is so good. You know what, Jim? One of the things that you also talk about, which I love, is simplifying and streamlining the operational part, right?
Absolutely.
What's the first step that a business owner should take?
I believe a business owner, I believe in today's world, your website is your business card. Most every case, unless it's a McDonald's that but if it's something you don't know, you're going to go out and check out their website. You want to do some research or investigate. What are they all about? And so I believe your landing page on the website has to contain that value proposition that addresses the needs that the potential buyer has with a call to action. Then you scroll down and you're seeing the testimonials. Oh, I see that other people have had great experiences with this customer. Oh, I see they've been in business 20 years. And oh, I see they've got a guarantee or a warranty, depending on the type of service. So the messaging all has to be about them. But I think a lot of it starts with a website because people are going to research you before they engage you for business.
Yeah. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. You know what, share with us, if you will, because I really want to talk about this book because I think that it's so important that people really understand who you are. And because next I want to talk about how you help people, because I think that it's important that, that Jim, you're telling people this because you know your stuff. You know what you're talking about. Like, you've been doing this for a long time. So you know what the ins and outs and stuff are. So share with us, Jim, if you will, share a real life example, because you talk to CEOs all the time. Like, you've been doing this what? So share with us a real life business example, that a business that applies some of the principles that you talk about. And
sure.
Yeah, share an example where they've used talking about how to make a difference.
I can tell you that like I said, I started 7 companies. Well, I didn't understand this whole formula in my early days. And for example, I'm being very vulnerable here.
Yeah.
The second company I started was a trucking company. Why? Because I knew trucking. I didn't I didn't pay any attention. Was there a need? Was there value I was going to provide to shippers? I said, "Hey, I know trucking. I'm going to start a trucking company." And there I went. There was no real strategy. There was no catering to the customer, and guess what happened? It failed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was only later in my career, um, and I actually was asked to do a talk, and I said, "What do you want me to talk on? Anything you want?" And that's when I started studying, and I really paid attention to Amazon. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Bezos, and when I started my biggest company back in '99, that was in the .com hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Bezos back then was a villain. They mocked him because he was burning cash left and right, and Wall Street didn't like that. And they thought, he's a bozo. This isn't working. Why is he doing this? But he was steadfast that I'm going to put the customer at the center of our universe, and we're going to engineer everything backward around the customer. And if
Mm-hmm.
we take care of the customer, everything else will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't care about the criticism. He was driven. And he started with just selling books, and then he started expanding his categories, gave, free shipping, which was unheard of in the day. And he did all these revolutionary changes, and the critics laughed at him, but no longer. I mean, and I look at Uber, I look at Netflix, kind of doing the same thing, changing the way all based on being more convenient, giving a better experience, etc. So it was only later in my career, once I recognized, well, golly, you when you start a new business or a product, you better meet what the buyers are looking for. It's not and I don't want to be critical, but I tell people, don't start a restaurant because you like to cook. Yeah,
Yeah.
start a restaurant if there is an unmet need, if there's, in your neighborhood that's underserved, or you only have quick serve and you want to do a fine dining or vice versa. Have a reason, because buyers are looking for that, not just because you have a certain passion. And the last company, I founded, I really paid attention to that. It was a technology company in the transportation space, and I made darn sure that I was saving them time, I was saving them money, giving them a great user experience, and giving them guarantees that nobody else was offering at the time, because they didn't know me. And if I didn't give a guarantee, they're going to go, well, how can I trust that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to deliver? So it was a journey for me. This didn't happen. I wasn't born with this thought. It took a lot of thinking, a lot of study, and contemplation to figure out what I now preach as the winning formula for any company.
No, that's good though. That's good. I think that's super important. And I think that's a key learning for any of us that are in business like that. I think that's what makes you and what you share and what you teach critical for those who want to grow. So Jim, in thinking about that and thinking about what you do, these are the principles that you teach, but thinking about what you do in addition to these principles that you teach, let's talk a little bit about the people that you're teaching it to and that you're sharing it with. I love your Vistage group and those folks that are there. Let's dive into Vistage. So for those who don't know, you are a leader of a coach to other CEOs, right?
Yeah,
You retired, but like you told us at the beginning of the show that you like staying busy. you like
I
doing
do.
things. You're not retired yet. So talk to us a little bit about this Vistage group and kind of what you're doing there and how you helping CEOs now.
Well, I had the great fortune of retiring and then flunking retiring. I found there's no purpose in pickleball, golf, and tennis, and I've got to have purpose. I can't just sit on the porch and watch the world go by. And I got contacted by Vistage, and I had never heard of them. And so they said, "Hey, look, we're the world's largest business leader peer group organization, 45,000 members worldwide. We're in 40 countries, 20,000 members in the U.S., and we form into peer groups of somewhere between 12 and 18 business leaders. And it's all about supporting each other, helping each other grow, helping each other learn, and being like an advisory board." And I struggled in one of the companies I founded, and it really resonated with me because I didn't know about peer groups. It was me and me alone, and I could have used some wise minds and experiences and perspectives to help educate me on things I didn't know about. And so they said, "We'd like to start a new group in Kansas City. However, you have to build your own group, and it's hard. A lot of people try and fail." And I thought, well, I've started 2 companies with nothing but an idea in my head, and that is very hard. Reaching out to business leaders and talking to them about joining a peer group will be difficult, but I'm a hard worker. Anyway, I was successful. I started my first group 2 years ago, and it's the best thing I've ever done. Because I'm a business nerd. I love learning about businesses. I love teaching, coaching, what I believe in, and figuring out where they are and how I can help, and if I can help. If I can't, your fellow peer member hopefully can. And so, we ask our members to spend one full day per month working on their business, and it's part educational. We bring in speakers and we talk about culture and employee engagement and hiring and retaining and AI and marketing. It's a variety of topics that are educational. And then the second half of the day, it is truly an advisory board. A member will say, "I'm having trouble with this, and here's what I'm thinking of doing, but I want to get other opinions."
Yeah.
And we go around the room and we help each other out. And the one saying that is very true, it's lonely at the top. It is. I experienced that. And even though you think you've got a great team and they're part of the family, but I can tell you everybody has their own agenda. And as the leader, it can be very lonely. And so I tell people, listen, if you got a bad day, call one of your peer members and just vent. They will listen and they will empathize and be there. I'll be there for you. And so I do one-on-one coaching with them. We do education. We do best practices. And then I formed a second group called Trusted Advisors that are leaders who provide professional services to others. So they work with my CEO group, and it's just a fabulous community where everybody trusts each other because we only have one thing in mind, and that's to help each other succeed. And that can be even in your personal life, because some people don't have an outlet if they've got a health issue and it's just worrying them. Okay, well, let's bring it up. How can we help you talk through it? So that's what Vistage is all about. I'm a big believer in peer groups. Don't go alone. Go with people you trust, because it's never gonna be always great. There's gonna be, but like today, everybody's facing tariffs and they don't know what to do. And hey, talking it out with somebody you trust and like is only gonna help.
Yeah, no, Jim, you know what? And a lot of times people don't know that groups like that exist.
I didn't when I started my biggest company. I had no idea, and I had never been a real leader, and I didn't know so many things. And I look back and said, boy, I wish I would have known about peer groups. I would have definitely joined, because some of these people have unbelievable experiences and would have made me not make so many mistakes.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
So Jim, how do people how do people find the Vistage group?
Yeah,
How
so we have 600. I'm called a chair.
mm-hmm,
So I'm not a consultant. I chair. I coach, facilitate the meetings. We have 600 of them in the U.S.
mm-hmm,
So in most any major market, there will be a Vistage chair. I spend a lot of my time networking with leaders, exploring how they're doing. You know, how do they, do they want to work with others and be part of a team?
mm-hmm,
But it is a commitment of time and there's a commitment of money
mm-hmm,
to do this. But I
mm-hmm.
spend a lot of my time doing that. But it's funny, you'll find the gamut. Those who say, yeah, I can use help, and others will go, oh no, I've been doing this and I know I don't need help. And
Yeah,
it runs the gamut.
got you. So here I'm going to ask you one of those questions because a lot of times people don't know that they need help.
Yeah,
They don't know, and sometimes people don't know that they need to invest in that type of help. So I'm
right.
gonna so because you work with this group of folks, there's always some characteristics, right, that would help someone be able to self-identify. Like if they're tuning in and they're listening to this show, they're tuning in and they're listening, and it's just them. They've got the earbuds. They're on a walk, or perhaps they're listening and they're on a drive, and there's nobody that they are. My husband listens to sports radio when he's in the car, not when I'm in the car with him when he's on his own. Right.
Yeah.
So there's some people that are listening in on their own, but this is going to help them self-identify because there's some characteristics that because you had the conversations with folks. So help somebody right now identify whether or not this is them. All
All
right.
right.
All right.
There are three things. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, you have a desire to grow personally and professionally. You're not satisfied with the status quo. I believe um, most leaders are lifelong learners, and we're going to teach. We have highly interactive workshops every meeting. You're going to learn something. So you want to grow personally and professionally. Number two, you got to be humble. You're going to be asked to help others in the group. Share your experience, share your knowledge, share your wisdom, and you got to be humble when you do that. And the third, and I think maybe the most important, you have to be vulnerable. You have to come to the table and say, you know what? I don't have it all figured out. I struggle here. I'm having this problem, or I have this opportunity. And I tell my members, listen, you're a business leader. I know you're a natural born decision maker. Problem comes up, boom, man, here's what we're going to do. Well, wait a minute. You've got trusted, like minded peers with a lot of experience and perspectives. Before you pull the trigger on that decision, why don't you run it by them? You might be missing something, and that something may come back and bite you. So take advantage of these peer groups. But growth oriented, humble, and vulnerable, it is an unbelievable team. And being part of a team is cool because we're all dedicated to each other to help them grow and succeed.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that because you know what? And everybody has a blind spot.
There's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast,
Mm-hmm.
go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And
Yeah.
I truly believe that because you do have blind spots. Everybody has blind spots.
Yeah. No, they do. Jim, when we got on, you were telling me about, I asked you, I said, Jim, what are you sharing? What do you want to give away? Because I want to make sure that people get in contact with you because you're just too amazing for them not to. And I believe after you've just shared these three things that, you know, most leaders, a lot of leaders are going to need and want to know, and, to get in contact with you. All of Jim's details are down below. You can see him at jimbramlett.com. So the details are down below. Make sure that you go to his website. But Jim is also sharing. What are you sharing tonight, Jim?
We're going to share my Stop the Hassle ebook. So if you come out to jimbramlett.com, you register for my newsletter. For those of you who do that in the next week, we're gonna email you a copy of my ebook, complimentary. And I hope you will take some of those lessons. And I guarantee if you do, you will grow your company organically. You don't have to add a whole bunch of salespeople or sales staff. Yeah, you still have to have marketing. But if you use the formula to satisfy what the buyer's looking for, they're going to tell others. And it's going to become viral, and everybody's then going to shop and buy from you. And I don't care if you offer a merchandise, a service, whatever it is. We all have those same 4 criteria. So I'm happy to send you a free copy of the ebook if you come register on jimbramlett.com.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, there's so much in there, and Jim just poured himself out. You'll get to know Jim. He is amazing. You're going to learn where he's from. You're going to hear some of the stories about his background. You're going to hear some of the stories that he talks about, even the use cases that he shares in there about some of the big box companies, Amazon and others. So it's a great book, and he's giving it away. So hey, you're here. You've got wins all over the place. And then there's also, even Jim, you have on your website too, where you can get Jim will do an assessment of your website if you go to on the website as well. Yeah. So, Jim, you got a lot of stuff.
All you have to do is type in your URL, and we'll give you a free assessment of how your website stacks up to the leading companies in the world in driving business.
Yeah, you guys, Jim, now before I let you out of here, I feel like the time has just gone way too quickly, but I want you to share, what's the best advice that you give to change makers?
To change makers, I give this advice that you've got a change you want to make, and be prepared for it to take longer and be harder than you ever thought possible. And you have to have a mindset like that. Keep the goal in mind. The road may change. You might get a detour here and there. Stay the course. Be persistent, persevere. You'll get there, but don't be discouraged because you run over a speed bump. It's going to happen. I've started 7 companies, and we had these lofty goals and thought it was going to happen overnight, and it doesn't. It takes time, and then just make it work. You can do it. Make it work. That's the advice I give people.
No, I love it. I love it. Jim, I was so glad that you came.
Well, thank you for having me, MG. I loved it. You got a great podcast and a growing audience. I'm impressed.
I am loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We'll have to have you come back again and share, especially when you're out there and you're doing all the things that you do, Jim. You're amazing.
I love businesses and admire business leaders because it's a journey, and I'm proud of every one of them who stay with it, persevere, and find success. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, love it, Jim. You are certainly an inspiration to all of us, I tell you. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, guys. Well, before we close it down, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. And Jim, thank you again for being here. I love it. Love you. Appreciate you. And for those of you who heard him, make sure that you stop by jimbramlett.com. All of the details are down below. The No Hassle King is giving away. If you drop by his website at jimbramlett.com, he is giving and sign up for his newsletter. You will get a copy of his ebook, Stop the Hassle. Simplify, satisfy, and succeed. You can get it. He's gonna have that available for the next week. So make sure you stop by and check him out. He's got lots of information that he can share with you and to help you to grow and succeed in your business as well. For those of you who heard those 3 things, if you need to and have a desire to grow and learn, all right, if you can be humble as well as be vulnerable, you might just want to join this Vistage group. It's a great opportunity for leaders to thrive currently and continue thriving as you go. It's a wonderful opportunity. Take Jim up on it. You will be glad that you did. And before I let you go, make sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Tune in every Friday. Send us a comment, like the show, share it with a friend or a neighbor, a colleague, and tune in next Friday for another episode of the Reimagine You Lab podcast with me, MG. And until next time, I will talk to you later. Bye.